this is a talk that comes from my experience as a DevOps/platform engineer in different companies, mostly in the enterprise side of things. And I tried to merge it with Dante's Inferno. I don't know how many of you, probably most of you, since we are in Italy, studied it at school. That's when I actually started loving literature. Introduction on this journey, then we're going to go a little bit on the circles and demons you can find in platform engineering, and maybe we will reach platform engineering heaven. So, a little bit about me. I'm currently a solutions engineer at GitHub. I am deeply involved in the former working group platforms of the CNCF. Now we are reorganizing things, so it's going to be maybe under a different umbrella, but it's basically just platform peeps coming together and speaking every time about platforms. I'm a CNCF Ambassador, recently joined actually, and a Kubernetes release team member. I also do release management for this release, so if that gets delayed, it's my fault. Formerly organizing KRS events in the Netherlands, KCD, stuff like that, and meetups. And, well, I did a bunch of other things. Fun facts, I used to live in Ravenna, which is where Dante died. I actually my school was very near to the tomb. Very cool place, by the way. Yeah, I'm a metalcore singer, just to point it out, if any of you listens to metalcore. And yeah, I love tortellini, and I miss them so much since I now live in Holland. So yeah, that's about it. Some references to the Divine Comedy are not accurate. They're just like used for a better comparison with platform engineering. Lasciate ogni speranza voi che entrate. I usually don't say this when I do this talk in other countries, but I can. Disclaimer number 2, when I say users or customers, I mean developers. As a platform engineer, those are my customers. And yeah, Steve Ballmer is my hero. I mean, kind of. I actually pressed one too much. Disclaimer number 3 and last one, which is just too long, didn't read. You already have a platform, you just don't treat it like one yet. The story begins with you, a DevOps. Platform engineering comes to rescue you from development experience issues, security, compliance, because those are the 3 main pillars, I think, that are very difficult to get right with platform engineering, because self-service and some other things, I think, are easier to get with all the tools we have, especially Kubernetes. So, what is this platform? Is this physically like a platform that you can move on? I think not. An IDP is composed by many different tech-end tools integrated all together. Its aim is to lower the cognitive load. Many of you probably read team topologies. And, well, you need to enable self-service without giving up on control, security, and compliance. I mean, unless you want some big fines from the EU. It's an internal product. It's built and maintained for the developers with the developers. And this is a little bit my own definition, just the last 2 lines, while the first one is on internalplatforms.org. This is a schema that I really like about platforms. You're going to use this, maybe not, but it's just for making you understand what I'm talking about. So I'm a developer. Can be any kind of developer, any language. We are not doing any differences here. You should have an IDP with your UI or your CLI, an interface, and then APIs. APIs are the main point of entrance into your platform, and then your platform has to have golden paths, predefined stuff, CI/CD, EAC, basically everything to have your developers not worry about what's underlying in their own infrastructure. I would say that something that misses, more often than not, it's a break glass kind of solution. You should still be able to force stuff out of the platform for different reasons. Maybe the platform is not working, there's a bug, it's down, whatever. You should always have still some access to the cloud provider directly, or if you are on-premise, to your own on-premise infrastructure. Each circle here represents a scene. We're not going to have a one-on-one representation, as I told you before, but just a couple of different scenes that I found in my journey. And you don't want to be in this inferno. So this talk is aimed at giving you some tools to recognize if you are into one of these. First, limbo. Now, how many of you have built an internal platform or bought one? Built? Raise of hands. Okay. Bought one? Pre-made? Some sort? Okay, just one? Okay, perfect. So there is no right or wrong in this. Like any case, it's its own. You might want to build a part of your platform and adopt another one. You want to integrate, you want to use open source tools. The main thing is that you gotta discuss. And you shouldn't have like an endless discussion, so you should still have some boundaries. And that's when I think that you should adopt like a product way of thinking. There is no dichotomy, again. So a platform enables your team to focus on your core business. I think that sometimes we developers or we like ops people, we build stuff just for the sake of building. It's very interesting, it's fun, we use different tools, we explore new technologies, but no one knocks at our door, or well, at least for the beginning, asking us what are we doing. It's just like experimentation and it's fine. But in the end, we should justify what we are doing in regard to the business. So you should ask your developers, what do they need? Observe their behavior and where they spend most of their time to simplify well, their journey and their DevX. Last, excessive focus on extravagant and advanced features at the expense of core functionality. This is when I think about me beginning my journey, when I want every single tool ever to be available on my platform, and it begins to be difficult and costly to maintain, so I did not have any real clue about defining one golden path. I just threw some tools in the platform and hoped that my developers would figure out a way to make them work. So yeah, this is particularly when you're trying to build. When you buy, maybe you have a little bit more of guardrails. So if you don't have a lot of experience in building a platform, maybe even if you don't have a lot of people supporting the platform, if the platform team is small enough, I would say that maybe buying could be a good idea. But the goal in the end is to build something simple, reliable, and efficient. In order to achieve these, a platform should use, in my opinion, the tiniest viable platform principle, which is the smallest set of APIs, documentation. Yes, that's part of a platform. That's a very fundamental part. And tools needed to accelerate the team deploying modern software. Well, modern, it's a definition that we can all say is subjective. Modern software services and systems. So, in short, whatever makes your team go faster. And by faster, I don't mean like just syncing like trash features out after one another, but like closing the feedback loop, as we heard from a previous talk this morning. So closing the feedback loop means also listening again to your developers continuously. Gluttony. This is one of my favorite gifts in the world. It's exactly how I feel when I'm using Kubernetes and I can adopt all of these different tools. There is an insatiable appetite for integrating the largest amount of tools, once again. So you don't want to leave your developers with an overwhelming array of options. You really want to constrain them a little bit and, well, specifying just the bare minimum that they need to go ahead. So you want to create a standard in the end. To avoid tool sprawling, you have to actively act like a Cerberus. You're a gatekeeper a little bit, and this needs to be something that you, of course, have to discuss with your developers, but you want to have DevX in mind at all times and finding a trade-off with your developers when using legacy tools versus the new shiny ones. Greed. We had a great talk about authentication. Here we have some of the worst things that you might encounter when finding yourself into a platform engineering journey. So you want to control your developers, in a way, and you end up moving the maintenance burdens over and over, and you start reinventing the wheel at each iteration. And this happened to me a lot of times around authentication specifically. And here we are looking for a turnkey kind of solution. And in the end, it's all about the organizational structure. If you think about permissions, for example, you want to give them based on some kind of roles that are within your company. This, more often than not, duplicates the effort, increases the complexity. So before coming to this, I would say sit with your developers, sit with your product people, and start to understand who needs access to what, who needs to do and achieve a certain goal, and define those before building the platform, because that's your baseline. And that's when a golden path comes in. So golden paths include templates for various components, including authentication, starting from repositories, infrastructure pipelines, and anything in between. So the key is to eliminate, like delete, it's okay. Actually, any PR that deletes code in this platform, it's fine. Any unnecessary choice, diminish the complexity budget. So in general, you should aim to do the simplest thing possible. I like to give this example. For some people, a platform is just a repository and one CI/CD pipeline. That's it. They need to deploy one API. They don't need anything more. Okay, maybe you want to add instrumentation, observability, like we saw in the previous talk, but we don't need to overkill. Maybe we don't even need Kubernetes. I shouldn't say it, but I said it. VRAT, internal friction. This is one of my favorite stories. The first platform I built was a catastrophic failure because no one was adopting it. And that's because actually I did not write any documentation. I did not ask another team that was also building a platform why they were building it. I did not collaborate with them. And when I mean like me and my team. So we had a poor onboarding experience in both platforms. And developers ended up building a third platform by themselves. And that was actually the best one. And we were not involved. So yeah, in the end, sometimes platforms, they just sprawl naturally. And again, when I say that you already have a platform, think about that. Like, how do you do things today? Maybe it just needs a little bit more glue, a little bit of an interface, a defined contract, an API, but it's already a platform. Like, maybe it's not fancy, maybe it's more like a bash script, but it could be or become a platform. So yeah, in a word, you still want to have whatever this platform is for you. You want to maintain it, and you want to avoid the platform decay. Even when we built the third platform that was working, we had to maintain it. We had to continue support it. And by support, I don't only mean new features, I also mean fixing stuff that didn't work. I mean adding more documentation. I mean onboarding new teams, like having office hours, having like some form of education around the platform. That's also something that after the initial setup, it's very important to avoid that maybe new teams, they don't adopt the platform, or maybe you are just building in an island by yourself. Maybe just a couple of teams are using it and the rest of the company is on fire in the meantime. So you want to really break the silos like DevOps teaches us. And here we come to minimize the friction. This is like a little bit of a checklist. Start with small and value-driven steps. What is the most time-consuming activity for your devs or for yourself in this case? Who is my pilot, team, or product? That's actually very interesting. You want to maybe check who is the smallest team or the product that maybe it's not as business critical, or on the contrary, you might decide that the most business critical product has to be the one piloting your platform. Based on, of course, like your risk management within the company. Please ask before choosing people. And well, avoid automagic things. They just probably don't work. And that's a bit what I say when people buy their platform. if the company selling you the platform says that it solves all of your problems with little to no configuration, probably it does something really simple, and you should avoid it. If this company instead like helps you out, tries to understand what you do first, maybe even helps you out with the first configuration, and then onboards you, that's a bit better. You can still get a chance to get a sense of what their platform is and what it can do for you. Survey. After every major iteration or after new platform adoption, even after a tool adoption, actually, to be honest, just send a simple survey, not a lot of questions, maybe 3 or 4 to your developers, and see if they like what you're doing, see if they have suggestions. If you do this, people will tell you, like, people really love to criticize things, me included. Like, if something doesn't work and you give me a survey, I'm going to write a long paragraph about it, and I'm going to be very happy if you take even 1 or 2 of my points. So yeah, but maybe it's just me. I don't know if you all do this. Keep day 2 in mind, because yes, we built the platform, and then no one thought about the day 2 operations. No one thought about upgrades. No one thought about how do we roll back this thing if something happens? How do we roll back your workload once we deployed it? We don't have to just initialize and bootstrap and then abandon our platform or our developers. Define simple and future-proof API interfaces. One of the examples that I like to give, if something can be, well, a single item, let's say you define an API to deploy a single cluster, and that's fine. Don't do that. Define an API to deploy a list of clusters. Like, imagine always that something can become a list at some point. I mean, do not over-engineer things, but do this exercise. Ask yourself, okay, I'm doing this API for 1 item, but what if I want to call it twice? Wouldn't it be better and more performant if I would just pass a list instead? You can do this. Heresy. Platform engineering is seen as heresy by some companies, which I do understand, because they get burned by platform initiatives that they never end. They're only like consuming money, and they never bring, I would say, thoughtful result. There is little to no mention to return on investment, and this is because many, many platforms are built by individual contributors. They lack a little bit of project management behind it. You do need some management. So even if it's a word that I understand for some people, it's a bit scary, for me too. You need to convince your managers that the platform is the way to go, onboard them, and let them advocate for this need with upper management. And when I say upper management, I mean whoever has the budget power to decide that you have the money and or time to build your platform. Now, to solve this, communication is key. So again, define some metrics, and this can be discussed, again, with your business people, should be discussed actually mainly with your business people. And it's not DORA metrics, or not necessarily. It can be a first good metric set, but let's say you work for Fiat, automotive company. Do we care only about deploys on our software? No. We care if our software has an impact down the line, like on the real business that's underlying our platform. If you are a software company, of course, like then DORA metrics is a perfect metric, but not every company is a software company. Some companies have a real like physical business. By real, I mean like real object in space that you can touch. I do think that software is very much real. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a job. It would be very sad because I still need to pay the bills. And so, yeah, this is like a benchmark that you want to have to basically have idea, at least, of if you're going in a good trend, in a bad trend. Again, numbers cannot be absolutes, in my opinion, especially in platform engineering. You can have a bad day, you can have a bad week. Maybe if you have a bad month, reconsider some metrics or reconsider the platform at all. And yeah, that's how you can do it. Okay, violence. Ooh, that's long. So, developers against your platform are equally dangerous. How many times have I heard this phrase, but we always done it this way, why can't we keep doing this? I just use my bash script and call Jenkins, and then it does everything. It's fine. And won't the platform steal my job, or AI, or whatever? And the answer is no. Actually, it's going to create more work in the end, because you can deliver software faster, so your company grows faster. Hopefully, they have more and more well, stuff for you to do. You have to fight the resistance with your team, and to do that, I think the best way is involving your team. So when you involve your team, you are, again, surveying, but also having them build the platform. Because if you're building platform, believe me, you need developers that are able to write APIs. You need to have developers able to design an interface. And yeah, maybe you need also a UX designer, because you want maybe initially just a set of APIs, but at some point you want some buttons, you want some nice drop-downs, maybe you want just Backstage and it's fine, but sometimes you need something more, some customization, some React components. So front-end developers are also part of the platform. And then there is fraud. This, I think, that's one of my best, well, representations of DevOps. It's very simple. Build, deploy, operate code. And it's all together. Well, I think they lied to us. I think the reality is something like this. You have a couple more things to think about. You have CI/CD. We saw, like, in some talks, eBPF tools for observability. We have to think about security, anything, project template. It's overwhelming. It's a lot of stuff. And I would say that more often than not, we shouldn't start with this in mind. We should start with the other one, start simple, and then expand. There's always time to expand. This is where we come to treachery. Here, developers have been betrayed, as often in this talk. They were promised a working platform, but instead, they got a labyrinth of tools, not integrated, unused, slowly decaying, and the platform market fit, here is the answer. How many of you have read any product management book, or maybe some of you are also product management? They know that, especially for startups, finding the market fit is one of the golden things to do, because it's where the money is. And I think that's true for platform engineers too. You need to find your platform, and you need to analyze your market. In this case, your market is very small, so you're lucky. You even know the single person buying your platform. It's your own, like, desk mate. It's around the corner. You can just, like, hop. Maybe if you still have doors in your offices, you can just knock at the door, ask them a question, and you're going to get some data. Well, that's awesome. If startups would have this, if my startup had this opportunity, it would not have failed. So I created this schema, which I think summarizes a little bit what we can do in a platform. This is too small, so I'm going to just turn my back to the audience. Are you tracking DevX metrics? No? Start defining them. If you do, is your developer team overloaded and is delivery suboptimal? No. Are you tracking delivery metrics? Start defining them if not. If it's suboptimal, which I think it is it understaffing or cognitive load? And that's a question for your business. It's not exactly for you. Like, you can ask to have a couple more developers if you need. You don't need to do overtime, stay 12 hours at work. Maybe it's just understaffing. You hire some more people and it's fine. The platform could not have been the problem. So if it's understaffing, please hire more. Cognitive load, okay, you probably need platform engineering, finally. And then how many teams do you have? Less than 3? Maybe consider buying. Like, maybe you just don't need to overcomplicate your life. You don't have the people to support the platform. If you have more than 3, consider building. This number is a bit arbitrary. That's my opinion on the number of teams that you need to have for platform engineering. But you can find out that number. You can still try, especially if your company has some budget to spare. But you can also rely on these companies right here. This is when some pretty big companies, I would say, mainly in the US, they started, like, establishing a developer productivity team, which, yes, it's a platform engineering team in a way. So, yeah, for some companies, it's 35 to 50 engineers. For some companies like Walt Disney, maybe I wouldn't take that example, it's 50,000 engineers. So, yeah, In the end, a platform, unfortunately, it's not a solved problem. It's not in that we can magically snap our fingers and it's there. It's hard work. It's sometimes guesswork. And this is another TLDR. So in the end, it's all about company culture and people. Do not enforce platform engineering top-down. That doesn't work. Buy if your platform need is already solved. Like, I don't know, if you are a web agency, maybe you can just use WordPress and set it up in a way that is just easy to clone different template of websites, one for a hotel, one for an e-commerce, and it's fine. You don't need to overcomplicate the stuff. I can't believe I just said that WordPress is okay. Build if you can afford the time and the long-term consequences and the opportunity cost of building a platform, because yes, you need to maintain it. Always measure your platform effectiveness against metrics tailored on your business objectives. You might not know the business objectives of your company. Sometimes they are not transparent. Sometimes they're not like down the line. Maybe some C-level knows them. Just ask them. They should be able to give them to you. Start small. Solve one problem for your developers that will show the business value of your platform. You are very slow at deploying on Kubernetes. Okay, simplify that. You're very slow at deploying in one single environment of one very complicated customer you have. Start with simplifying that. Platforms have to find their own market fit in a market, which is your company. That requires a different go-to-market strategy involving users to shape, define, and contribute to the product they need. Your development teams are the key to the platform market fit. And that's the last point. You can find some resources at these links. One is a work in progress. It's like a way of creating a roadmap.sh. I don't know how many of you have saw that for I've seen that for developers of different kinds. I wanted to create a platform engineering one. A very good post by Martin Fowler about platforms. This slide deck is public, but it's an old version, but this presentation is also there. I can give them to the organizers and they can give it to you. And I have also a platform engineering manifesto, which is a bit mock and a joke around the Agile manifesto. By the way, I don't think Agile is the answer here, but it's never. If you want to present, I suggest you a very nice resource, which is Lights Carnival. I have no idea how to do any graphical thing, so this is all a template. Thanks to the tag up delivery that will now not exist anymore after KubeCon London, which is in like a couple of weeks. And thanks to Incontro DevOps organizing team for having me on stage, and you for attending this talk until now. One last thing, usual QR code, and you can also find me on social media as Bianchi Dev on every social media, but the one with a name that I won't pronounce, but it's one letter and it's owned by a psychopath.
That's very specific. Thank you so much, Matteo. We do have 5 minutes for questions. Do you have any question from the audience? Any comment?
I'm sorry for being so far away. First of all, it's amazing talk. Thank you very much. All the platform work flashed before my eyes when I saw your talk. It's really a nice comparison. But actually, briefly told about including developers in your process, like development process for the platform. In your experience, how do you think, is it a good idea to open the code to be like kind of open source within a company, or it's tricky? Because for us, it was tricky. I'm curious about your experience.
So absolutely great question. Thank you. I do a lot of open source. And I do think that open source can bring value to your company by doing one thing, inner source. So you should treat your company as an open source company, as in within your company, you can see all the code. Okay, maybe you cannot commit to everything. In my opinion, you should be able, but I'm okay with just viewing the code. Everyone should be able to open an issue against your platform repository. In the platform space, I would think that everyone can also have write access to the code. Of course, with a PR process, so review and stuff. But everyone should be able to contribute because they are the main users. Maybe just a product manager can contribute with just an issue, asking for a new feature, while a front-end developer can, I don't know, see a UX bug or see some improvement, change some icons. Other people can just write documentation. It's a collaborative effort. Of course, there are people like responsible for the platform, like platform engineering team, but everyone is responsible for the good outcomes that come out of the platform. So please, if you like your platform engineering team, help them out. Maybe you have 30 minutes to spare. You are waiting for a build that it's too slow. You can improve the CI/CD, and you can submit a PR to your platform. That would be great. So yeah, I do think that in my experience, by involving developers, I mean exactly open sourcing the code, at least within the company. That's basically what Spotify did with Backstage. It was an internal product. Then they also open sourced it outside, but initially it was just built internally for them.
We have a question from the platform, and feel free to chime in. How to convince the CFO of the usefulness of the internal development platform?
Yes, that's a great question. So you have to first understand your business metrics. So first, as I would like to say, listen. So go to your CFO or to your revenue team or whatever that name is for your company and ask for budget, at forgiveness maybe. And then say, okay, I want to build a platform. I think that it will have these benefits. Of course, I cannot measure them now, otherwise I would be a mage, and I have to first build it and then measure them. But I can ensure that we can have a checkup once every week or whatever you want to understand where we are. Like, you're going to help us drive this initiative. And I assure you, especially the more corporate you get, the more enterprise you get, that if you give someone the possibility of driving a good initiative within the company, they are just happy to give you at least the chance, maybe not the budget, maybe they give you just some time, which could be enough if you have open source tools, if you know how to use Kubernetes. Like, already with Kubernetes and Crossplane, you can build a good platform overall. Yeah, you can just try it out. And of course, you gotta try and say, yes, I'm improving the developer life. I'm maybe saving time, because that's a metric that sometimes cannot be measured directly in money, but saving time, it's money in a way, if you think about it, especially if you can then have more features delivered. Sometimes the lines are blurry. Like, I must say that in some companies I was able to set metrics that made sense also for the business. In some others it was a bit more difficult and there was a bit more resistance. But in the end, if you can convince a plethora at least of developers and maybe some manager here and there, you can start building trust and work your way up. Or you can work your way up the other way. So you can first build trust with the C-level and then go down. But in my experience, bottom up is the way to go. Because when I'm a C-level and I see 15 people coming to me with the same questions in my one-on-ones, and they say, why aren't we building a platform? Then maybe you're like putting a doubt in me. And I might say, okay, build this platform already and let's see how it goes. So yeah, I think it's one of the parts where it's a bit of a guesswork, and it's more of a human interaction problem than a technical one. And that's when also it's useful to have non-technical people necessarily in your team, people able to convince and influence others, or gaslight, as someone would say, but yeah.
So we have 30 seconds for one last question. There was a question there?
He was first, yeah.
Thank you for your talk. Maybe, do you have some advice how to balance golden path with platform flexibility? Like my personal example, I'm responsible for the Linux kernel deployments.
Okay.
And my team is always an edge case to everything. So like, example, CI/CD platform, we have like gazillion standard components, how to release a Go application, how to release an HTTP service. And it's like, well, to test the Linux kernel, I need a virtual machine. And it's like, oh no, we don't support that. And then I go to observability team. It's like, oh, here's the metrics how to monitor HTTP number of error codes. Like, here is like something for database. Like, what is the success metric for Linux kernel? Like, nobody knows. Like, and I always keep hitting this. Like, I need rather more components and tools that I can adapt rather than a golden path, because I understand I'm an edge case. Right?
Yeah. So if I'm an edge case, then I should also be responsible for that component, like if it's just me. And then if after a while another one comes with the same problem, then I'm not an edge case anymore. Then it's 2 people, then it's 3 people, then it's 4 people, and then it becomes a stable component of your platform. And I think that's the key. Like, you should always give the possibility to hack your platform and like work your way out. That break glass that I met before, it's also maybe you cover with your platform 80% of the use cases. In your case, maybe it's less. But those 20% of special people that are deploying eBPF, maybe they don't have a platform ready to go, and they can build their own like little automation, and in some time a platform tool or feature maybe will sprawl from there, and you will just add a single button for them saying like, you're very special. If you're very special, click here, and you spawn another platform just for them. Like, I would say that again, if you start even if you save just 6-7 hours of your development time per week, that's already a good time that you can spend having a coffee or writing more documentation or, I don't know, writing more features for the platform. So yeah.
Thank you.